You're the voice from the past.
All right, we are live. We have a special episode today, Heidi. We are going to talk about the tsunami of turnover that's expected this year that many companies are already experiencing. I know we've seen that tsunami already hit northern Utah, and I'm afraid there might be a bigger wave. So we're going to talk about what this tsunami looks like and how you as a HR manager, hiring manager can, or a plant manager, anybody that has responsibility over people, how you can maybe lessen the blow of the tsunami, what you can do. We'll give you some tips. And we're also going to talk to you, the job seeker, on how you can actually really maximize your opportunities in the market. This is a very unique market. It's been a unique market, and this might be just the opportune time for you to land the job of your dreams. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Heidi, are you excited?
I am super duper excited.
This article is a SHRM article just published a couple days ago. There's so much good information in here. We're going to review it right after this.
These short messages.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
We have the biggest news ever in history right now that we're about to. This is a live video going into the job board. All right.
You changed that. You changed that, didn't you?
No, I did not.
Did you really not?
I'm going to one day.
I swear the car was new. Was the car new?
That looked fancy though, right?
It did look fancy.
That's why I've kept it. It's just a lot of work to make things fancy like that.
Maybe I should start paying attention to these beginning videos instead of going out to the music.
It's all right. I'm going to make a new one though soon. Okay, we're going to just jump into it, Heidi. I think this is a hot topic for everybody. Turnover. It's just I've been in this industry for 3 years, but I hired and recruited people for the last 15 years in my retail background, and I have never, throughout my entire career, whether it's retail or staffing, I've never seen so much turnover in the last couple months than ever before in my entire career. I've never seen this type of turnover. And there's that stigma out there of the staffing industry that turnover is a little bit higher than a normal company. But this is the staffing industry and everywhere else. I'm just seeing this huge amount of turnover, and I don't know what to make of it. Heidi, are you seeing the same thing?
I am. But I wanted your honest opinion. Why do you think that there's been so much turnover?
Well, I had my, I had some of my own beliefs based on the trends. I thought that just the competitiveness of our market here locally, there's just wage compression and a competition, but it's not just locally, it's across the country. Every person I've talked to across this country has said the same thing. They're seeing just this flood, this tsunami of turnover, and it seems to be getting worse, not better. So SHRM published an article just on the 12th, and it's speaking to exactly what we're seeing and what we're going to see, and it scares the heck out of me. So I'm going to share some of these points here in the article that are made. But what I really like about this article is it also shares okay, here's what you can do about this tsunami. Like, here's
Gives
how
you
you
some
can lessen
solutions,
the
not just the
blow.
problems.
Yeah. And then talks a little bit about job seekers and how, you can really gain in this market. So you can find it. I posted the link above. More than half of employees surveyed in North America plan to look for a job in 2021. Heidi, did you catch that? More
I
than
did.
half.
I'm actually not surprised.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like a lot of people took whatever jobs were available at the time just because there was so few jobs available during the pandemic. And
right.
so many people were losing their jobs. They just took literally anything that was available. And now they're like, well, okay, now that it's stabling a little bit, now I want to get into something that I'm actually happy with. So
that's so true. The article talks about how before the pandemic, employers were experiencing high turnover rates, but during the pandemic, those quits just dropped off the map. Turnover was low. You had the normal turnover, but it was just so much more lower than pre-pandemic. And so now that we've gotten through, hopefully we've gotten through the worst of this pandemic, there's just in the demand for people has just increased so much because companies just got behind, right? Because of shutdowns and quarantines, and you don't want to spread COVID through the facility. So if you're having any symptoms, you're quarantined for 10 to 14 days, and so just really interrupted production of raw materials and finished goods, as well as just getting the supply chain out to everyone. It just, you look at the furniture industry, for example. I mean, you still can't get a Ashley sofa. You're like 4 months out.
right.
Everyone's been interrupted by COVID, and so those that have been working right through this pandemic, they've been working a lot of hours. And this study, it hits on it very clearly that there is an absolute pent-up turnover demand in the U.S. workforce. So the respondents gave a variety of reasons of wanting. So half of the country, 50% of people said they want to move to new opportunities. And the primary reason was being burnt out.
Yep. And we are seeing that a lot. It is surprising to a lot of people. But if you think about the logic behind it, where it has been so easy to get onto unemployment right now, and then with the stimulus checks coming out, there's a lot less people out there actually working. So those who are working are having to work more to make up for anybody who's not working right now.
Right.
So all of that burnout it makes sense when you think about it like that.
When half of your shift is like quarantine and the other half are stuck with the workload.
Yep.
Or your lines are short, and so you're working overtime 7 days a week for several weeks in a row, and then maybe you have a break for a couple weeks, and then you go right back into another 5 or 6 week straight just working nonstop. It's hard on a lot of people, and that was the primary reason. The second one, contributing factors to wanting to make a move, more than half of job seekers right now, better compensation and benefits, better work-life balance, they were number 2 and number 3. And if you think about it, this goes back to what my original thought, the market's competitive. There's just wage compression. And so, you're burnt out, and then you see a similar job that's paying a little bit more, and it's like, okay, the grass is greener. And so you just quit and go to this other company and make a little bit more. A lot of people, probably when they make that move or transition, then they see that, oh, I'm working just as hard here or maybe even harder. And so it's a pretty challenging market. And just to summarize, more than half of American job seekers are looking to make a move this year. They're looking to quit the current organization that they're in and moving to another one. And it's because they're burnt out.
And like you mentioned, part of that better work-life balance that a lot of people are looking for, I did have the opportunity to attend a conference where they were talking about how whenever a pandemic like this happens, you quit that whole, I've got to think ahead in the future, and they start living for the here and now. And part of that better work-life balance is they're sick of working 5, 6, 7 days a week and never getting that time with their family. So a lot of people are looking for that better work-life balance to start spending the time with their loved ones while they have the chance.
Yeah. And this is going across all generations. The article cites company leaders are still knee deep dealing with the pandemic, but they have to look ahead to fend off the talent tsunami. Our poll reveals that 57% of U.S. employees say they are burnt out. Both millennials and women report higher levels of burnout, and as do employees with kids. Remote learning at home. Leaving is often viewed as the best option for employees to address the burnout. And when the economy and labor market gets healthier, some employees may feel they have no other choice. So it's not just work that's burning you out. It's this freaking remote school schedule, learning schedule for your kids. Like, how do you like when I took this job 3 years ago, I didn't realize I was going to have to find a way to have my kids watched on a Friday, every Friday. Like, they're not going to be in school. Like, I've got to either find them a daycare, or I've got to be home, or my spouse or a family member like has to be there. And we got lucky here in Utah, like, to only have to deal with Friday remote learning. Like, across the country, there's schools that are like in California and New York and other states that they're still not back in session. It's 100% remote. And so, not only are you struggling with all these hours at work, but now you're dealing with the stresses of your home life, of kids with remote learning. And, as a parent, I see how my kids' learning have digressed. Like, during the shutdown, we lost so much ground. And then just the one day out of school, I see that, I need to be there to give my kids that education, or someone needs to be, because they're gonna fall behind.
Right.
And that's pretty challenging. So,
and it did mention that in the article as well, that along with the burnout, a lot of people are deciding to leave the workforce entirely due to like taking care of a loved one, or taking care of the kids who are at home. Or it did say in there, that there is some concerns about COVID and that they've left the workforce for that reason. But a lot of them have chosen early retirement to help out with their families.
Right. And that leads into our conversation in a couple of minutes about opportunities, right, for job seekers, because people are taking early retirement. People are, that might be in a very healthy career. Just they want to be home with their kids, and there's just no other choice. Like, they have to be there for their kids if they're 100% remote learning. And so that leaves the door wide open for opportunities for others that maybe can manage around that home crisis and still be at work.
Yes.
But part of that problem is not just the better life balance, because there are companies out there that have a really good life work balance, but they are still showing that people are feeling disconnected with their companies. And then that's also part of the reason of not only that turnover, but a lot of people not making that career change because they feel disconnected with their corporate companies.
Yeah, they're disconnected from their peers. They're disconnected from, their maybe field leaders, and then even their home office. It's sorry, my phone's going crazy.
You're good.
So, you're the normal leaders in your organization that are traveling, and they're the cheerleaders, they're visiting teams, and having a presence out there, and really, their finger on the pulse. Like, that's gone away for the most part with a lot of companies. So people feel disconnected from their peers, and from their supervisors, from their subordinates. Like, it hurts everybody.
Right.
And so if you don't have that connection.
We've talked about some of the problems with like why layoffs are happening, but the article does mention some solutions in there.
Yes. So advice for employers, and then we're going to jump over to what I have as advice for job seekers. So companies need to embrace the idea that business strategy and workforce planning will look different post-pandemic. If you've been running a 12-hour rotating schedule your whole life of your company, and it's not working right now, hey, this is a good time to look at your schedule, and can you have the same output and meet the same demands, but maybe switching the 12-hour rotating schedule. That's just one example. But not only that, but you need to get started on identifying talent, skills and roles that will be necessary to prosper once the health crisis passes. So like there's a knee-jerk reaction of just replace the person, right? Just backfill. But are we solving the problem, or are we just waiting for the next crisis to happen when we're just backfilling that position? You know, do we look for better talent, right? For that position. Like if this was our acceptable level, this is our baseline of talent for that position, do we expand it? Which means, Heidi, more often than not, you have to pay more, right?
Pay more, offer better benefits, re-engage with your employees, things like that.
Yeah. I'm glad you hit engagement. So keeping top performers engaged. Companies should identify and engage high performers for obvious reasons. But you've got to also know that you can burn out your high performers. And so how do you get them to feel valued and excited and keep them engaged and give them time away so they don't burn out? Give them things to learn and grow and be developed. Give them more responsibility to develop others. Like your top performers really need to be engaged, and I think obviously you're going to get more from them.
I like that it says in there that there needs to be a transparent career progression. I feel like a lot of times with companies, they say within the next year or two, this is where you can go, but there's not a clear path from point A to point B. So a lot of people feel like that burnout is never going to end, that they're never going to get to where they need to go. They're working really hard for nothing. And to have a more transparent career progression, I feel like that could really help some people with their burnout.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Let's see here. So why don't you read the next one, Heidi?
So the next one on there does talk about recognizing your employees, and saying that about 74% of our workforce right now wants more recognition for their work. And I love that they said in there, holding your supervisors or your management accountable for that recognition. How cool would it be to have a company and know that you're working for a company where they ask your supervisor, hey, how's so-and-so doing on your crew? How they been lately? And your supervisor, if they look at management and say, I don't know, they've been to work, so I guess they're doing good. And then get kicked out of the office, be like, get your butt out of here and go talk to them. Have a human conversation with them. Treat them like a human being. Or if you knew something was wrong with them, like, how's their grandma doing? I heard she was in the hospital the other day. And then if the supervisor was like, I had no idea, kicking their butt and saying, get out of my office, go figure out how their grandma's doing, go talk to them, make sure that they're okay. And then recognizing them for their good work, saying, hey, you're doing an amazing job. I know you got a lot going on right now, and actually know that they have a lot going on right now. And say, hey, but you're showing up to work. You're doing amazing. I'm really proud of you. I'm proud of where you're going in your career. I think that this could be a lifelong career for you. And I think we are lucky as crap to have you.
Yeah, this is a big disconnection in the workforce. You have your line lead, right? And I'm not bagging on the line lead. They have one of the most important jobs out there in your facility. And that's why I'm talking about it. They don't have the business acumen that you have. They don't have the years of people management training and disciplines and HR, training, like how to treat people with respect and just proper communication skills and listening skills. Like they don't get that as a line lead. Some companies do that, which, it's amazing that they put that much focus on the line lead and they make it happen. I think every company should, but right now you need to really hone in on your line leads and see how they treat their people, how they communicate with their people. And if it's just the, top down approach, if they're just like, they don't know how to set the stage when giving feedback, if they're just like, hey, Heidi, you did this wrong. Like, you know how to do it. You've been trained like a year ago. I know you know how to do it. Like do it right, you idiot. They don't say idiot. Some do, but they make you feel like an idiot the way they talk down to you. And it's just a simple communication style that is very direct. And you can be direct, but you can also be a good listener and set the stage with your directness so it doesn't come across as making that person feel like they're an idiot, but making the person feel like, oh yeah, I did get that wrong and I want to fix it. And so like recognizing your employees starts with just having your supervisors know how to communicate with their employees. Like they've got to treat them with respect every single day, every single conversation. Stop assuming the worst in your team when they make a mistake. And that is a big part of recognizing your team. And then the little things outside of that, like, hey, great job today. Like just showing up to work when other people have called out, like, and getting the job done. Like, you guys are amazing. Thank you for staying and making it happen. You didn't have to thank them for that, but it goes a long ways, right?
Right. And I love how you said earlier about treating them like a number. And I feel like maybe this is just a personal opinion, but I feel like focusing only on the numbers does tend to make them feel like a number. When you change tactics a little bit and start to treat them like a person and hit them on that personal level is when I really feel like that recognition is meaningful, rather than just, oh, you're passing off a quota saying that you have to come and say thank you every now and then.
Right. Yeah. All right. So the next one, second to last, listening to employees. During the crisis, companies have had to do a lot of talking to employees about everything from policy changes to logistics to remote work, but it is equally important to listen to them. Wow. I mean, it's so easy to, as a leader to just be like, I know what's right. I know how we're supposed to do things. And you just move forward and you don't seek to understand. You don't ask your employees. Some people might really love the organization, but because of what's going on at home, they need a schedule change. They need to do something different. And if you don't hear them out, like, they're just going to leave and go somewhere else. And they're going to explain that schedule change to a prospective employer. And that employer is going to be like, oh yeah, we can do that. When maybe you could have been accommodating for that schedule. Maybe it would have made sense. And so, but even just listening to concerns, right, Heidi? Like every day, Absolutely. Something that seems so small to me might be something really big to you.
Well, and especially with the policy changes and the work structure changes that are happening right now, taking the time to stop and ask your employees how it's affecting them. Yeah, you may be getting better numbers, or your numbers may be stabilizing, or your revenue is starting to get back up there. You can see that your company is growing, but to know how that's affecting the bottom line, the linemen that are actually out there doing the work, to get to that point, to make sure that they are feeling like this is a good progression rather than something that we are just burning out our employees, to be able to sit down and listen to them, because they're going to know firsthand knowledge of what it's actually been like to produce those numbers.
Exactly. That's a great point. All right. Last one, conducting external stay interviews, not exit interviews, stay interviews, to better understand your turnover risk in your building. So there's a net promoter score, that's an easy survey. What's the pulse? Do you have promoters? Do you have passive employees? Do you have detractors? Why? What's going on? Let's find out why your team is either passive, like they're just going through the motions, why they're detractors, and who's a promoter. And let's really dig into those risk factors and start developing an internal retention strategy based on those passive and detractors that are really hurting your team.
And part of that, using this external interviews, is because a lot of people are nervous to take that to their management or to their HR. There really is that nervousness in that you don't get as much truthfulness in it.
Yeah, 100%.
Some of those external ones is where they're going in with that as well.
Yeah, like, hey, your HR manager comes to you and says, hey, take this anonymous survey for me. Like, you're like, yeah, I'm not going to give you any real feedback. You're standing.
I love the idea of a Dropbox right outside your office, just having a Dropbox there where somebody can fill out a survey at any time.
But now it's like, you got the camera above the Dropbox. So it's like, they'll know it's me, right?
Walk back very stealthfully.
So having an external organization do the surveys for you. We've done that for our clients.
I just did one recently.
Yeah, it puts the associate at ease, and they can give you that candid feedback that you really want. At least I hope that's what you want. That's the whole purpose of this, right? How do we minimize this tsunami, because it's here and it's getting bigger? So check out that SHRM article. Fantastic read, lots of good facts, and I hope you'll use it to improve your retention and keep the good people that you have, and minimize the impact of the tsunami that's happening right now. For a job seeker, this is just such a great opportunity, because people are leaving some key positions to go elsewhere or stay home with their family. That really puts you in in a place where you can be considered for these opportunities where maybe you wouldn't have been considered pre-pandemic. Like maybe you're a year under the 2-year experience requirement, right? Or maybe you're halfway through your schooling, but you have a mix of the experience, and so normally you wouldn't have been considered until you graduated, but you're like the top of the list, right? Because everyone else has left or gone elsewhere or filled other key positions. And so, it's not just a check the box, like you have to have all these to be considered for the position. It's very fluid now. And as long as you can, make your case and really show your passion for the position, you're going to be considered for it. And now's the time to do it. And this is just a fantastic opportunity. There's, just locally, we're seeing all these positions open up, and they're great paying positions. They're career growth opportunities, and all you have to do is interview and make your case. And a lot of times you're going to be considered for that role. So great time for a job seeker, Heidi.
And because of the higher turnover rates right now, if you were one of those individuals that just picked any job that was available, no matter what it was, I will go, be a pooper scooper if I can. I just need a job to provide for my family. If that was you, now because of the turnover rates that are happening right now, it is a prime time for you to get into one of those positions that could be career opportunity rather than just, I need to make money to provide for my family.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to end with jobs. I've listed a few above. You can click elwoodjobs.com. If you're a job seeker looking for a better opportunity, we have them here at Elwood Staffing in Northern Utah. We've got a variety of openings, great paying positions. We are the front door of the best companies in Northern Utah, so definitely check it out. And better yet, call us. If you're looking to hire people and you need help, give us a call. Send me an email, stephen.farrell@elwoodstaffing.com. And we're hiring internally because we keep growing, Heidi. So we're looking for staffing recruiters and on-site specialists and managers. And if you want to join the best of the best, also send your resume to me.
Have a company that's willing to look at the hard stuff and make the changes necessary.
That's right.
Work with staffing. We are amazing, and we will help you fulfill any and all of your needs.
Here, I'm going to leave you with this Albert Einstein quote. Let's see here. Where'd you go? Of course,
maybe he'll leave us with a quote.
I'll just leave you. No quote. Leaders spend 5% of their time on the problem and 95% of their time on the solution. Be the solution, not the problem.
Or find the solution at Elwood Staffing.
That's right. All right. Thanks, Heidi.
Thanks
everybody. Take care.